And Frank Figliuzzi, back to your life's work and your line of work. It's become something of a cliche in my line of work to talk about the president's affinity for strong men. When you repeat these things over and over enough, it becomes like the F8 key on your keyboard. But it's true to hear the president use the word strong or strongly to describe the people he likes and admires. How does this play out while the rest of the G7 is looking at us this coming weekend?
Yeah, look, unconditional love is a beautiful thing, unless, of course, you're unconditionally loving a murdering tyrant who is a declared enemy of the United States. And that's exactly what Trump is doing. So the fallout here, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what's going on in the president's head. I don't think anyone knows, but I do know a little bit from my counterintelligence experience about how Putin views the world. And the way he will view this is basically a signal that says you can do anything you want and you will still have a champion in the Oval Office. And that champion is Donald Trump. So we're left to ponder why. Once again, we're asking ourselves the same question: why so aligned with Putin when Russia actually needs an intervention, not an invitation to the G8, to join a G8, but rather some kind of admonishment, not encouragement. So Putin will view this as, I need to continue having an advocate in the Oval Office. What do I need to do that? And what have we just come out of? The special counsel report and the hearings where we learned emphatically that Russia interfered with our election. And what are we coming up on again, Brian, but yet another presidential election? Is this a quid pro quo playing out in the public arena? You do this for me, I do this for you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.